Have you ever just stood at an airport and stared at a jumbo jet? I mean, really looked at it? It's this massive, multi-ton hunk of metal just sitting there. And then somehow it powers down a runway and just climbs into the sky. It looks like magic, but it's not. It's actually this incredible high-stakes battle between powerful physical forces. So let's get in.
Right. This is the big question. How in the world does something that heavy get off the ground, let alone fly for thousands of miles? In this explainer, we're going to peel back the curtain and look at the actual engineering and the physics that make it all possible.
Okay, so first things first, we have to understand that an airplane isn't just one big thing. It's more like a team, a collection of super specialized parts, and every single one has a critical job to do. Let's do a quick tour. You've got the fuselage, right? That's the main body, where passengers and cargo go. Then you've got the wings, and their whole job is to generate lift. Of course, you have the powerful turbine engines. We'll talk a lot more about them in a sec. Way back at the tail, you have the stabilizers, both vertical and horizontal, that keep the plane steady and help it steer. And those little upturned tips on the wings, those are called winglets, and they're a clever way to reduce drag and save fuel.
Now, a plane sitting still is just a statue. To fly, it needs an incredible amount of forward force, a push that we call thrust. And that amazing power comes from one of the most brilliant inventions ever, the jet engine. This thing is the absolute heart of the beast. Basically, air gets sucked in the front through the intake, gets squeezed like crazy by the compressor, then it's mixed with fuel and ignited in the core. That explosion spins the turbines, which keeps the whole thing running, and then it all blasts out the exhaust. It's like a continuous, perfectly controlled explosion. It really all boils down to a super simple 4-step process. Engineers even have a catchy name for it. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. First, the giant fan at the front sucks in a ton of air. Then the compressor blades squeeze that air down, making it super dense and pressurized. Then comes the bang. Fuel gets sprayed in and ignited. And finally, all those hot, expanding gases blow out the back at incredible speed, shoving the airplane forward. And just to give you an idea of the insane power we're talking about here. At takeoff, a single engine on a big jetliner can move 1.25 tons of air every single second. That is enough air to completely empty out a huge sports stadium in less than a minute. Just incredible. So the second those engines get the plane hurtling down the runway, it becomes the center of an epic tug of war. It's a constant battle between 4 fundamental forces of nature, and flying is all about managing this battle.
And here are the 4 competitors in that tug-of-war. You have thrust from the engines pushing the plane forward. Fighting against it is drag, which is basically air resistance trying to hold it back. At the same time, you have the plane's own weight, pulling it down toward the earth, and fighting that is the magical upward force of lift. The rule of the game is simple. To take off, thrust has to be stronger than drag, and lift has to be stronger than weight. That's the whole secret.
Okay, so we need lift. But where does it come from? Well, the secret is hidden in the shape of the wing and a core law of physics called Bernoulli's principle. Now, I know it sounds super technical, but the basic idea behind it is actually really elegant and pretty simple.
Let's just focus on the wing for a second. See how it's curved on top, but flatter on the bottom? That shape is the key. As the wing slices through the air flowing over the curved top has to travel a longer distance, so it has to move faster than the air underneath. And here's the cool part of Bernoulli's principle. Faster moving air has lower pressure. So you end up with high pressure under the wing pushing up and low pressure over the wing pulling up. And bingo, that pressure difference creates lift.
And this shows us lift's mortal enemy, drag. On the left, you can see how a non-streamlined shape creates all this chaotic, swirling air behind it that literally pulls it backward. But on the right, that sleek, teardrop shape lets the air flow past it smoothly, which minimizes that resistance. It's the exact same reason you can stick your hand out of a car window. If it's flat, the wind pushes it back hard. But if you turn it sideways, it just cuts right through. That's aerodynamic.
Okay, so we've won the battle of the forces. Thrust is beating drag, lift is beating weight, and the plane is in the air. Awesome! But now, how do you tell it where to go? For that, we have to leave the world of automatic physics and head up to the flight deck.
Welcome to the cockpit. It looks incredibly complex, I know. But the main flight controls are actually pretty straightforward. You have the control yoke, which is basically the steering wheel. The throttle levers are your gas pedals for the engines. And down on the floor, you've got the rudder pedals to help steer. Let's see how it works. When a pilot turns the yoke left or right, it controls little flaps on the outer edges of the wings called ailerons.
This makes one wing go up and the other go down, causing the airplane to bank or roll right into a turn.
So what about going up or down? Well, if the pilot pulls back on that same yoke, it controls different flaps on the tail called elevators. Pulling back points the nose up, and the plane starts to climb. That's called pitch. Pushing forward does the exact opposite. Simple as that.
And the last major control is something called yaw. This is when the nose of the plane swivels left or right. It's controlled by the rudder pedals. Pushing the left pedal moves that big rudder on the tail fin, which pushes the nose to the left. This is really critical for making smooth turns and for keeping the plane straight during a landing when you have a crosswind.
So when you put all of that together, the airframe, the engines, the forces, the controls, you get modern aviation. But the most incredible thing about all this is that it isn't based on some new discovery. It's all about perfecting principles that have been around forever.
I mean, just look at the journey. We went from simple gliders to the Wright brothers' first rickety flight, then to powerful warplanes, and then to the mind-blowing SR-71 Blackbird, flying at the edge of space, and now even to planes that fly on nothing but sunlight. The technology has changed exponentially, but the core physics, they haven't changed one bit.
And that really leads to this one powerful idea. It doesn't matter if you're looking at that first Wright Flyer or a brand new Airbus A380. Every single flight is just a perfect demonstration of the same basic equation. Thrust has to overcome drag, and lift has to overcome weight. We didn't change the rules of the universe, we just got unbelievably good at playing the game.
So, with over a century of incredible innovation behind us, you have to wonder what's next. We've pretty much conquered the basic forces of flight. So the next great challenges are things like efficiency, sustainability, and maybe even pushing beyond our own atmosphere regularly. So, I'll leave you with that to think about. What's the next great leap in aviation going to be?